Chad, you went from doing a feature to a short film, which was so well done. Um,
Thank you.
what was the reasoning for going that route? Usually, once people make a feature, it's kind of like, oh, I have to make features forever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Good question. I would say that, like I mentioned earlier, as filmmakers, as artists, we have to actively keep engaging in our craft in order to stay fresh and also to get better. Unfortunately, we're in an industry where it's a collaborative art, so we have to rely on lots of people to bring a whole project together. We're not painters, or we can sit in our studio all day, and for $100 a week, we can just paint and paint and paint and paint and practice and practice and practice and all that kind of stuff. So, we can't make as many projects as often as we usually would like to. So my motivation for making simple things was, A, I'm not the filmmaker I was in 2014, and I wanted to show people that I have advanced in my craft. And I wanted something new. I wanted something fresh. I wanted a new credential on my resume. And just like with anything in life, after a while, you want something new to promote yourself with. And I can't be running around town with Natural Selection from 2014, for the next 20 years saying, hey, I made this, I made this, I made this, even though I'm extremely proud of it. And like I made great friendships from it, and it was a great experience, and all these kinds of things. I'm not the filmmaker I was in 2014, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to get back at it. You get that itch, like you just want to do it, and so that was my motivation for making simple things. And also the story and stuff was something I was sitting on for a few years, and I circled back around to, and was like, I think I want to do this project.
That's nice because usually with my I have like this text document of like ideas or themes or a character or a line of dialogue. I may never come back to some of those.
Yeah. But it means something if you do come back to it. Like I don't have any tattoos, but everyone that I've spoken to who has a tattoo, they always say that you have an idea for something you want to get, you set it aside for a while, and if you come back to it, a year or two later and you still want it, then get it. And I feel the same way about screenplays or ideas or short films or whatever I've done where, I've written stuff and then put it aside, but this was one of those projects that after a couple years I came back to it and still felt like it was something I really wanted to do. And thankfully it paid off to me because, even though the film it's a short film, so there's not a lot of outlets for them. There's certain places that you can distribute them and put them on, but it's very, if you don't have a feature, your choices are very limited to what you can do with shorts, and you almost can never make money off of them. But to me, as a filmmaker, that wasn't important to me for making this movie. This movie simple things meant something to me. And even though I might not get a dime back from it, it was worth every penny I put into it because I'm so proud of it. And when I talk to people and they say, what have you done? What's your latest project? Like, I'm unbelievably grateful and proud to say I made this short film, and it's called Simple Things, And also, it was another experience. We shot it over a weekend, and it went unbelievably well. It went better than I even thought it would. Like, I thought it was going to go good, but it exceeded my expectations of the experience of it. And I will say this, that as filmmakers, and I'm sure you can relate to this, you have this idea, you have this vision for how it's going to be, but when in film, things are constantly changing. Things can change on set. You could write a scene that takes place out in a parking lot, but that day you're shooting it, it's torrential rain. And now you have to rewrite it or find a way to shoot it inside. Or, you're trying to shoot the scene and so has the actor had a heat stroke. And now, they can't do the rest of the scene, or, things are constantly changing. So when the film is done, it almost never is exactly how you envisioned it. But I will say, with Simple Things, it turned out better than I thought it would. And I thought it would turn out well and turn out good, but so that's another reason why I'm so proud of it, is that it turned out exactly how I wanted it to, and it feels good when you get that.
Yeah,
you know,
great.
to know that to know that you got it, you know.
And it was a nice evolution from I watched Natural Selection last night, and then going at Simple Things. I mean, coverage style was different.
Yeah.
You definitely told the story a different way. Was that something you were looking to do going into it, or was that something that just the story called for?
Yeah. People give me crap all the time because I use too many close-ups. I've heard people call me like Chad, I love the movie, but you gotta chill in the close-ups. And to me, it's like I get it. Wide shots are extremely. I feel like people just use wide shots as a waste of time. Like, oh, this is the scene, this is the room we're in. A lot of people can do them really well if you have a lot of interesting things happening within the frame and whatever. But to me, it's like the subject matter of my films. It's usually emotional stuff. It's usually tension between two people, and I'm obsessed with eyes. Like, there's so much emotion that can be translated through eyes without even saying a word of dialogue. So I have to be close. I'm sure you've seen films where there's like an intense scene, and they keep it on like a medium or like a wide, and you're like, I want to be in that conversation.
Yeah, I need to be closer.
Yeah, I want to be closer. So that's one of the things with Simple Things, because the film only has two characters in it, and most of the film is a conversation between two people. So yeah, going from Natural Selection to Simple Things, like I said, I'm not the same filmmaker I was.
Yeah.
And so if I could go back and do Natural Selection again, I would do a million things different.
Right,
shoot it differently, this and that.
Sure, but I mean, the important thing is you've learned from the experience. I mean, it's a great film. It looks great. I mean, you have only other places to go. So,
Exactly.
All right, Simple Things, great. That I felt like that showed, like a real director with a vision, especially at the very end, the emotional, musically charged scene.
Right.
It's still in my head to this
Thank you.
day. So that
I appreciate that.
I definitely see the evolution there. What's next for Chad Scheifele?
Yeah, so I've had a couple short screenplays that I've been sitting on for a while, and I had to just pick one. So, I've always wanted to make a horror movie, but at the end of the day, that's not really me.
Yeah,
I would be making a horror movie more for the marketability of it, so people get more interested in it. And I don't know, like I had an epiphany recently where I decided that, the films and the stories that mean something to me, that can get me to bring out the best in who I am as a filmmaker, which I'm sure, you have your wheelhouse, you have the stories that you want to tell. It's difficult when you take on a project because you're trying to mold it into something that can be marketed, or you mold it to something that would get more attention. And so you're molding it for something else. And I feel like we as filmmakers thrive the most is when you make stuff that comes from who you are as a filmmaker. Like you're what are you made of? Like when you make that movie or you make that film, 100% you. Then I feel like that's when we thrive, and that's when and whether that and even if that means that if you're a comedy director, drama isn't very marketable, but we're human beings, like we're emotional beings, like drama resonates with us. So I recently just completely full-blown just accepted the fact that I love drama, I love tension between people, I love love stories, and I love sad stories, and those are the films I'm going to make. So I decided that I picked another short film that I want to do, and it's heavy-handed. I want to kind of revert back to my darker side a little bit from high school, from college, but also put in all the emotional stuff from that I'm passionate about. So I'm looking to do a thriller, like a more of a drama thriller, that focuses on a young girl who's dealt with this this traumatic experience in her life, and she's just riddled with guilt, and she is trying to find a way that she can overcome it or atone for her past experiences. So it's heavy-handed, It's drama, but to me, I just was like, you know what? It might not be very marketable stuff, but I'm going to take the same pathway that I did with Simple Things. Write a short, under 15-page screenplay. If I have to raise the money to make it, that's what I'm going to do, because that's the story I want to tell, and that's what I'm passionate about. And I think that's one thing that I would tell anybody who's watching this, or any filmmaker, is, don't wait around for someone to just hand you a stack of cash. I mean, that'd be nice. Try to go out and fundraise, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, don't wait around for that perfect script. Don't wait around to say, it's not ready, it's not ready, it's not ready. Like, just do it, Just get out there, do it, and just get better at what you're doing. And that's what I would say, is next for me, and as this short film that I'm really passionate about. I have a feature that I'm also working on, but I know that that's going to come down later down the road, so I'm not going to get too wrapped up with that. And I'm going to make this new short film, and that's what I'm going to do.
Great.
And then once I made that decision, like with Simple Things, I decided that's the script I'm making, and I'm going to move forward with it. And it was just like bam, 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 bam. Let's get the wheels moving,
Great. And I mean, especially because we're in this pandemic now, it's led to a lot of self-reflection with a lot of people.
Yes.
And
time for people to catch up on writing projects that they've been neglecting because they've been focusing on their day jobs or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've written some things, but just above that, you think about your brand as a filmmaker. What kind of movies? What's an Andrew Froning movie? What's a Chad Scheifele movie?
Right.
What themes? What stories do we want to spend this limited time on Earth telling?
Right, and to me, what's important to me is I express myself through my films. But there's no better. There's nothing like the feeling of showing your film to strangers and them coming up to you and them wanting to talk about it, wanting to know more, wanting to know who these characters were, or they come up to you and they say that really meant something to me, or I got it. I can relate to that, and then that feeling that gives you, because then that just reaffirms that you're doing the right thing. Keep doing it. And that's what is important to me. It's cool. It would be cool to make horror movies, scare people. That's another emotional response that you can get out of people. But when people come up to you and they say, "Listen, this really meant something to me," or they want to sit and talk to me for an hour, and I don't know these people, but they want to talk about the film. They want to talk that. That to me means something, and that's what I want to continue to do, is to tell those stories and reach people.
Sure. Yeah. Good advice. Something to aspire to. Thanks so much, Chad. Where can we see your previous work?
So if you're interested in seeing my short film, Simple Things, it has its own website now, so you can just go to the website and watch it. That's simplethingsmovie.com. If you want to watch my feature film, Natural Selection, you can get on Netflix and just search Natural Selection. You can also find it on Amazon Prime Video, and I believe it's included with Prime, so you don't have to pay for it. You can also download it off iTunes, and if you're interested in reading the novel version of the film, it's Natural Selection by Stuart Connolly, and you can find that on Amazon.com. And if you want to check out my personal work or my website, you can just go to ChadScheifele.com.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Chad. This has been a great chat. Thank you so much for going indie depth.
Thanks for having me on.